it's probably been about a month now since I've touched this, so I'm not sure where this video is going to pick up again, but I kind of got a roadblock here inside there with the boxes that are attached to the firewall. I could not figure out how to get those off, and then, you know, life happened. So I posted on the forum, and they said that there are 4 bolts on this side of the firewall I have to take out. So we're gonna have to take apart all the fuel stuff and the rest of this little box here for the cabin filter so we can get that. All right, kind of looks like a pain in the butt, but right there, it looks like there's one more bolt. I think it's gonna hold in the other box. Okie dokie. So you can see one hole here and then a couple up here and then this one here. We're gonna have to cut like little sheets of aluminum and then probably like panel bond and then screw them in so that they don't move around on us in case there's a fire. It never comes through this side of the firewall. So finally got this out, so we're gonna keep moving forward now. This is what I use. It's fire block sealant. This was the highest silicone fire rating I could find. It's good for 1400 degrees. So what I did was right here on the outside, I ran a bead. That way I could adhere it to the firewall. And now that it's there, I'll let it dry for a second. I'll run one more bead on the inside of the firewall, everywhere I can see the silver, to try and get it as airtight as I can. And then here in the next day or two, when this is dry, I'll run 2 screws, or bolts here in the corner to have it, you know, 100% mounted. So it should be bolted and then siliconed in. And we got one more here and one more over here we're gonna do next. Next, we're gonna go ahead and put this crash bar in. I've got a couple more bolts to find over here in this mess. And then we're gonna take that giant wiring mess over here and we're gonna put it back. And then whatever tabs and things that we don't need on this crash bar, we're gonna use the angle grinder to cut out. All right, so now the best part starts, which is plugging in all these wires. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but I have all these white zip ties over here. I'm gonna leave them full length, and I'm just gonna use the white ones. That way I know what is not plugged in. I'm gonna plug as much stuff in as possible as I go, and then when I'm done, I'll go back through and check all the HVAC and radio stuff and see if it's something that goes to there or something we just plain forgot to plug in. So I'm gonna go ahead and start that adventure. Well, the car's had a charging problem, and I saw this stuff when I was taking it apart, so I'm gonna address it now that it's put together. But like, this wire is spliced that goes to nothing. This wire's open wires. These wires here are spliced in that go to nothing. They both have Sharpie positives, so I'm guessing this is hot when the car's on. I mean, I have no idea, but I found a ton of them. Like, there's one over here, like you can see right there. It's like electrical taped on. It literally goes to nothing. If you pull this wire, it goes nowhere. So I'm gonna try and fix all this stuff while I'm in here too. So next on my to-do list was to be able to take this head unit out and then replace it with this sheet metal. It obviously looks super tall because it's not bent in the car. But you can see I kind of made these side panels to cover some of the wiring and the dash support. But once it goes in the car, it'll lay down a lot flatter. But I'm right now that it's like a rough draft, I'm gonna paint it black, fit it back in the car, and then clean up some of the edges so it's not so bulky in the car. So now that this panel's mocked up in the car, you can see it's kind of sticking out over the dashboard a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll take it out and we're gonna start trimming this top piece towards the window so make it sit a little bit more flush before we start bolting it in the car. The 2 screws that are sticking up there, I hit the top of them with black spray paint, and then that way I laid the panel down on top so it left marks on the backside so I know where to drill the holes. So you can see the paint mark here, and then there's another one here, so that'll give me a good guess on where I need to drill to be able to screw the top in. Then I'll start working the bottom. So I can't find any of my punches, but I took this Allen wrench and the grinder, and then I ground the end down there. It's kind of hard to see, it's not going to focus, but to a tip. So I'll slide this through the hole where the bolt goes, and then I'll use a rubber mallet on the other side to try and punch this into making a mark in the aluminum so I know where to drill my pilot hole. Okay, so this section's about 99% done. I'm gonna wrap it because this gloss looks crazy with like the swirls and the fingerprints. This is almost 99% done up here. I just have to shave this edge so it sits flush. The bottom bolt's in, and then there's one here, and then there's one that runs in this side. But I'm not gonna 100% this project until I figure out the control panel. So I'll run a box like this and then run the ignition and stuff off of there. But I just have to figure out what one, but that should be a different video. So I think all I have left for this video is to put in the new steering column. Well, like normal, I'm gonna go ahead and start weighing some of this stuff. At the bottom of the screen, I'll do a running total because there is like 2 or 3 boxes we gotta weigh worth of stuff, but we're gonna start here at the steering wheel. $20.2. Next box is 46.8. Last one is 39.2 pounds. It's a little difficult to see, but I thought while I was at it, I was gonna go through and clean up some of the seat brackets here. And this one, even though it's sitting a little over here, it still comes in at about 2.5 pounds cut off the seat bracket. I also forgot to weigh this like fascia with the radium and stuff, but this is 4.8, so let's call it 7 pounds with the seat bracket from those two. Alrighty, this project's about 99% done. As you can see over there on the glove box side and then underneath the steering wheel, we do have quite a bit of wiring to work out, but a lot of the stuff that I'm not going to need anymore, stuff that doesn't apply because we removed a bunch of stuff. So I'll probably, just for the time being, zip tie that up there on that crash bar as nice as possible to kind of hide it. And then as far as like the driver's side goes, a lot of that stuff, I'm gonna get a panel here for the center section that we just made, and then just run like probably a push button for like the ignition and the horn and things like that, so we can still do street stuff. But that'll probably be in a different video. And then when we get that done, we'll end up wrapping the centerpiece so it looks a little bit nicer because it's nothing but fingerprints and scratches on this black. But we'll call that done for today. And then the steering wheel, the bolts that mount up into the column, I had to go get because the factory ones were too long. And then the bolts here on the actual steering wheel, Motion sent us, were silver, and then they were actually a hair too short. So I just went and bought black ones, but it's a quick release, so you can just pull it from the back to take the steering wheel off. You know, when we do more of the cage for the driver's side door, that will be a little bit nicer as we get out of the car. It does seem like it slid out quite a bit, so I'd be interested to see when we put the seats back in the car where it is, you know, for the length of my arms. But I mean, it is what it is at this point. It's good. So thanks for following along this far. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one.